Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Fingered Cat. This is a part 1 video. So I decided with my papers that I'd got left to cut into them and to do another of the Kendras card challenges, number 19. Really enjoyed the cards that I've made so far with the Christmas papers that I did some during Christmas in July, and then I've got some left to do. And I've really enjoyed some of the sort of like the more ornate kind of use of papers that I wouldn't have come up with myself that I've done so far, and I thought I could use these papers and see what I could create with this. And I thought it would be a good way of sort of like working my way through this kit a little bit more and automatically getting 15 cards out. So I like when I did it for Christmas in July, I'm doing the cutting and the organisation part of this video as one video, and then there'll be another video following it. Well, actually, there'll be multiple videos following it showing how I then use the packs that I have made up with the sketches and how I finish each card off. I'll probably release them a couple of cards at a time or something like that as I work through them. At the point that I'm doing this voiceover, I've managed 1 card so far. But this is the kind of project that you can kind of come back to, you know, at various points. So as I say, I've still got some of those Christmas ones to do. So you'll have seen there that I've cut all my papers into 6x6 panels, and that's how this challenge works. There is 6 cutting guides for the 6x6 papers, and then there's a whole load of sketches, and in total there's 15 cards come from it. So the way I do this, and apologies if you've seen me do one of these before and you might go, do you know what, I've seen you do this before, fair enough, fast forward. But yeah, the way I do this is I have an envelope for each of the card sketches labelled 1 to 15. I cut 1 paper, I lay it out, and then I put all of those papers into the relevant envelope. That way I can keep it all organised, and it's basically a lot easier. And then I can pick up an envelope and I can craft with it as and when I wish. So I go through all of the papers and follow all the cutting guides. The templates are so easy to use, but I immediately made a mistake on one of these. So the first one I cut into, I just made a slight error in reading the instructions. So please do read the instructions. We all know I'm not very good at that. The good news is I've got plenty of that paper left over, so I just cut the one strip that I was missing, which I'd messed up. I just cut that from one of the scraps that was left over. As you can see, there's quite a lot of triangles in this particular, this is number 19. It's a free template you can get. Go over to Kendra's card challenge. I will try and tag Kendra in her YouTube channel in the description below, but there's like a Facebook group, and then you just go on to Patreon, but you don't have to join, you don't have to pay money. You have to sign up to Patreon, but you don't have to pay any money to get the free template. Obviously she does offer other things that you can then join for a cost with Patreon. I haven't done that, but I'm sure that what she's offering is great. The free stuff, however, is absolutely fabulous and I love it. So then when I have finished cutting all of the individual papers, what I do is I, 1 envelope at a time, go and work through for all of the bits that will be backing it. So on each of the sketches, not only does it give you a layout for the patterned papers, but it also gives you some dimensions for things like the cardstock that you're going to be mounting it on. And so I go through and I cut that. Now, in this case, I chose to use all pastel cardstocks that are from New to Kingston Crafts pastel cardstock. I believe this is going to be on the telly very soon. And I will say it's an absolute bargain how much you get of this cardstock, and the colours are just gorgeous. I thought that they worked quite well with these papers. And so I decided to use them. So this is, I suppose, a bit of a sneak peek. Apologies for those of you who can't quite get that yet, but hopefully it's going to be on telly soon. I believe the 7th, no, it's either the 7th or the 8th of September, I can't remember. But yeah, so that's going to be on the telly hopefully soon, and you'll be able to get hold of it from Hobby Maker. If I remember, I'll come back in and edit the description once I know what date it's definitely on and what it's available, when it's available, so you'll know that you can go and get that pastel cardstock. Genuinely, it's just gorgeous. It works beautifully. It's the white core, so it'll work brilliant with sanding, etc., and embossing. It takes ink. It's a very smooth finish, so blending ink on top of it is lovely as well. Just saying, gorgeous. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am taking each envelope and I am adding in the cardstock panels that go with it, following the templates. I'm not sticking anything down. I'm literally just having an idea of what I want to include in it, and that's what I then pop back into the envelope so it's ready to go. I did add in both that craft cardstock and some white cardstock as well as the pastel, just saying. I do not do much in terms of playing with the layouts. I am literally just pulling the papers out to look at which colours I think will go, and then I am gonna, and that's basically all I'm doing at this point. So I realised at this point I probably was coming to the point where I was running out of the cardstock in the larger panels, so I'm gonna cut some more. The cardstock, going back to that Kingston's, it is 12 by 12 cardstock. So it doesn't quite work with my Tim Holtz trimmer because the Tim Holtz trimmer is one of the smaller ones. So I do have to get out my old Stampin' Up trimmer to be able to fit the 12 by 12 in, which is why sometimes I disappear off and I'm kind of cutting it just off screen. It's my old Stampin' Up trimmer, which the blades for which are not good, but it'll do for the moment. I think it's hilarious when you get these tiny little pieces like this in the template, like those tiny little strips, and yet still makes it into a card. What I will say is that the papers had some quite large patterns on. So when I was cutting them, I did try and make sure that I wasn't completely cutting a hummingbird into or something along those lines, but as it is, the way it gets used in the sketch, you almost can't see the hummingbird most of the time, so it didn't really matter. The other good news is when you're doing the Kendras cards challenge is try and use coordinating papers. So this is obviously coordinating papers because they all come from the kit, but ideally double-sided, because sometimes you'll find that you just can't get them to work together. Turn them over and you'll find you've got a different pattern on the other side that will work. And so that did happen on a couple of them where I'm just, from what I'm laying out at this point, I'm just thinking, oh, that doesn't quite work. And so I did end up flipping it over and using the reverse. So as I come to the end here, this is a reminder that this is only part 1 video, and there will be another video to follow where I actually make up some cards. At this point, I'm just going to pop everything away, ready for play next time. So thanks for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.